Hello everybody, good evening and welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United transfer news. Welcome to Tommy, the latest member of our members club. But transfer panic is on the way as Manchester United fans and media struggle to understand who it is we're actually going for this transfer window as more and more targets begin to disappear. And Nkunku no longer leaving Leipzig this summer. Tchouaméni going to Real Madrid. Who are we looking at? De Jong now in talks with PSG apparently. Who are Manchester United looking at? Who are Erik ten Hag looking at? We'll also be talking about a couple of players that are definitely staying. Paul Mitchell definitely not coming. Rangnick and Ten Hag at loggerheads potentially. Lots to get into, as well as I'll be digesting some of the thoughts of Mark Ogden, who was interviewed by Beth this lunchtime. Controversial points. I couldn't do the interview because I had to go out, but yeah, it would have been good fun, but I thought Beth did a fantastic job, and if you've not checked it out, you should check it out. But before we get into all of that, you can see in the top left-hand corner, we're sponsored by Boohoo Man today on the show, and you know what that means? It means that there's going to be some interactive stuff. Today's show is supported by Boohoo Man Active. Boohoo Man Active is all about looking good and feeling great, and as the weather gets nicer, and there's no better time to get yourself some brand new active wear. Talking of looking good though, finally we are seeing Erik ten Hag at United this week, and that can only mean that it is time for some Erik ten Hag related content brought to you by Boohoo Man. So the nice people at Boohoo Man would like to know which of these statements is false. At 1, Erik ten Hag almost became a dancer instead of a footballer. 2, ten Hag eats the same meal before every game. It's a traditional Dutch pea soup. 3, Ten Hag was appointed as manager of Go Ahead Eagles by Mark Overmars, who was a shareholder of the club. I think you might get that. Of course, it's not. He didn't eat pea soup, but apparently he did nearly become a dancer and even attended a high-profile dance school in Holland. So there you go. There you go, actually. I actually thought it was going to be the Go Ahead Eagles bit, but apparently the true answer is he almost became a dancer instead of a footballer. He did nearly become a dancer. He attended a high-profile dance school in Holland. He'll get on with Anthony Elanga then, won't he? Rhythm is a dancer. Another fun fact is that by scanning the QR code or clicking the link in the description using the code GOALBRIDGE, you get up to 40% off at Boohoo Man, excluding certain sale items. So thank you very much to Boohoo Man for supporting today's show. And now we can move on with the stream. As I said, you can also scan the QR code with your phone and use that 40% discount code, which is GOALBRIDGE. Check out the website, see what you can get. Right, let's get into the show. So, look, I think there is a bit of transfer panic around Manchester United at the moment. I've seen Tchouaméni's gone to Real Madrid. I'd always said to you, I mean, even as far back as last summer, we spoke about Tchouaméni with Fabrizio Romano and he was like, United aren't looking at him. We've never looked at Tchouaméni, Manchester United. We've never looked at him. We've never tried to get him. We've never gone in for him, which is quite interesting because Paul Mitchell is the sporting director there. He's not coming to Manchester United. So all those people who were saying it was a done deal, I think it could have been done, but for whatever reason, Mitchell's decided against it, or United have not decided against it. But Tchouaméni is not going to be coming to Manchester United. I did see the mistake on BBC earlier, John. I don't really think it's that deep. I mean, they basically had a ticker going across the bottom saying Man United are rubbish. Which is the truth. You can't get into trouble for telling the bloody truth, can you? But yes, I think that with regards to this situation, there is a lot of panic around Manchester United. There is a lot of nonsense around Manchester United. HB says Levy's invested 150 million into Spurs for transfers. And evening, did you see the BBC ticker? I mean, why are people bothered about this BBC ticker? I mean, all right. Breaking news. The BBC has a ticker and on the bottom it said Man United are rubbish. I mean, oh my God. I won't sleep tonight. I mean, I don't even know why it's newsworthy. It keeps popping up on my timeline and I'm like, file it under, I don't give a shit. I'm not bothered. Somebody typed Man United are rubbish on a ticker. So what? We are rubbish. Hey Mark, hope you're doing well and let's hope United have a great transfer window this summer. Love from Malaysia. Love to you as well. Thank you for that, Sharwin. And hi Mark, great interview by Beth. Don't agree with a lot of what he said, but a very interesting and different take. I like having different opposing opinions. Hey Sean, it's well worth watching that interview with Mark Ogden from ESPN with Beth this afternoon because the opinions are very different. And that's surely what it's all about. taking on board different opinions. You don't have to agree with it. So look, and I don't think it was coming from a bad place. I just think it was like, he genuinely didn't have a lot of time for Rangnick and felt that, De Gea's distribution wasn't good and a few other bits. Hi Mark, have you heard anything about Manchester United buying majority stakes at Club East Bengal? I mean, Ritterson, with all due respect, thank you very much, but why are you asking me this at the start of a show? I'm trying to talk about breaking transfer news. I've got no interest, and I don't think anyone else has got much of an interest in us buying shares in something else. We're interested in this transfer window. So, look, interesting comment, but just keep it back 20 minutes. Clive Nelson, thank you very much and welcome to the Members Club. And Ogden, we'll talk about Ogden in a minute. Leo's just gifted 5 memberships as well, so give a shout out to Leo. But look, I want to dive into this because this is it. Ten Hag's transfer confusion, transfer panic. There is some confusion about what Manchester United are doing in the transfer window, but I think there is also quite a lot of panic. And one of the interesting things that Mark Ogden said this afternoon that I was listening to is that since Ed Woodward's left that club, Manchester United have started holding their cards closer to their chest in relation to what they're doing. So what you're getting here is, there's almost 3 strands to this. Everyone knows Man United are going to spend money. And if you've got an agent like Milinkovic-Savic, you're going to link Man United to him because you want people to buy him. And that's going to happen. And maybe that's happening with Torres. And maybe it's going to happen, well, it's certainly going to happen with a lot of players. We're going to get linked to players we're not in for. And if your eyes aren't open to that, where have you been for the last 10 years? United always get linked to players we're not buying because you use United, it's a big club, and you can boost the interest in your players. So that's one strand to it. Another strand to it is that Ten Hag came into this club late. He even said it in his own interview. When you're at a club, you're planning for next season at Christmas. He can't do that when he's an Ajax manager. So that's why he's starting his job now. They're trying to play catch up for the summer. So there is a delay in our transfers. There was always going to be that. You can't go back to the international break in March and be moaning about who the manager is and how we're going to do transfers. And then in the middle of May go, who's our transfer targets? Because we're only just working on it really now. And then the third one is that the United are keeping their cards closer to their chest. They're very much aware that so many of their targets get leaked out, and they're trying to be a little bit better about that. So it is interesting, and I do get why people are panicked, but it is the middle of May. Well, it's coming towards the end of May now. I'm worried about this transfer window, says Sean Turner. I feel that United have gone with Ten Hag because they feel he can get more out of our current players. I mean, look, you know what? That makes me feel sick reading that, Sean. That actually makes me feel sick because, yeah, have you actually thought about that? That maybe we're not going to spend a lot of money, that maybe we are getting Ten Hag in to develop and train the players that we've got, that maybe they feel that these players are good enough, they just need better coaches and 1 or 2 signings instead of the mass overhaul that I think everybody knows we need. Hi Mark, love the jumper you're wearing, where can I buy it? Love me a jumper with some Goldbridge branding. You can't buy it, mate. It was personally made, unfortunately, so yeah, you'd have to get it done yourself. And yeah, so look, I think that, I mean, what I would say about that, Sean, is I think you raise a really good point. So Sean's saying that maybe they're getting Ten Hag in to use these players that we've got and develop them. But the big problem Manchester United have got, and the big problem Erik Ten Hag would have, and the big problem that... are you jealous that Koundé's going to Chelsea? I don't get jealous, Naomi. But the reality is, I think that would be the most naive, stupid thing for Manchester United to do. And I think I can put everybody's minds at rest here. There's absolutely no chance. A few people saying thank you to Leo as well, who got a member. Buzzhead got one, so well done. Thanks for gifting them, Leo. Is that you can't bring a manager... I mean, look, let's forget Ten Hag for a moment. Let's imagine Manchester United have got £100 million to spend this summer, and they spend it all on Pep Guardiola. Pep Guardiola, come and be our manager. Right, what can I buy? Well, you know that checkbook you had at Man City? It doesn't exist here. You've got to work with the players that you've got. Pep would go, I can't do it. I can't polish a turd. I can't get these players to play Pep Guardiola tiki-taka. I need to buy those players and scout those players. So there is absolutely no way that Erik Ten Hag has signed a deal at United knowing he's got to work with this squad and he's not going to get much of an overhaul. That can't happen. Because no manager can go into a set of players that aren't set up to play their way and get them to do it. It can't be done. It can't be done. Klopp's had to build a team. Pep's had to build a team. Sir Alex had to keep building teams. You cannot just be given a set of players and say, right, turn them into title winners. You can't. It's an impossibility. So I think what happens with Manchester United, and Jonathan says Skamaka and Sangar should be fantastic midfield options under the radar. There you go. There are options out there. But I feel that Manchester United will be spending a lot in the window, and I'll talk about options in a minute. I'm not panicked by this lack of activity, or it's not even lack of activity. We are doing things. People just don't know what we're doing. Like Tchouaméni's gone to Real Madrid. Apparently we bid for Milinkovic-Savic when we haven't. Apparently Torres's agents are flying in, but they're not flying in. It's all just paper talk because agents have got to sell players, which I said this morning. But Man United will be buying players, and I guarantee, I think we'll buy 5, maybe 6, but I think we'll buy 5. Mateus, welcome to the Members Club, and I'll tell you for why. Because Manchester United, over the last, certainly Van Gaal, Mourinho and Ollie, we've still got players at this club that Van Gaal bought. We've still got players that Mourinho bought, and we've still got players that Ollie bought. That is like a jigsaw, right? You know, I mean, I don't know. I've got no time for jigsaws really. I mean, why not just buy the poster? Why do you have to chop it up into bits and make me make it? And it looks rubbish. It's not as good as the original, is it? Because you can still see the cracks. So don't get the point of jigsaws. Why don't you just buy the picture? Why cut it up and make it yourself? It's crap. But imagine you've got a jigsaw of Old Trafford, yeah, and you want to build it, right? And you get it all out on your coffee table. You're ready. You're going to make a jigsaw, right? And then instead of having all the bits for Old Trafford, you've got a bit of Anfield, you've got a bit of the Etihad, don't worry, it's empty. And then you've got a bit of Wembley. And you're like, I can't make this. How am I supposed to make this? I can't do it. I've got 4 different puzzles in one, and I haven't got all the bits. This is United's squad. This is Manchester United's squad at the moment. So Man United's big problem for me over the last year or two has been the mismatch of players, because we keep bringing managers in who have different ideas about how we should play. Now, Ollie basically played like Mourinho, to be honest with you, and that's why he had a bit of success. But a manager like a Rangnick or a Ten Hag cannot use Mourinho and Solskjaer type players to play Ten Hag's style of football. So we're going to have to evolve, and we're going to have to remove, and that's going to have to happen over the next year or so. Happy birthday to Alan McManus in London, says Alan McLaughlin. Thank you very much. Wow, Josh has just gifted 20 United Stand memberships. So Josh is, well, his name's Josh Dude. He's a cool dude. He's a very popular dude. So big shout out to Josh, who's just gifted some memberships there. Remember, if you are a member, don't forget to check out the exclusive content. We've got that video comparing Timber and Torres, and we'll have a new one for you this week. But look, let me scout through some of this news. So, Milinkovic-Savic, apparently we've offered 50 million euros. Bullshit. We haven't offered any money for Milinkovic-Savic. We've been linked to Milinkovic-Savic for the last 6 years. We were legitimately in for Milinkovic-Savic when Mourinho was manager. Since Mourinho, we've had Solskjaer and we've now got Ten Hag. We're not looking at Milinkovic-Savic, and we've not put a bid in for Milinkovic-Savic. I'll never rule anything out with United, because actually nobody's really got a clue as to who the midfield targets are. But Milinkovic-Savic and Italian reports, it's just like Gayton and Portuguese reports. There's just nothing in it, so we don't need to worry about that. Tchouaméni going to Real Madrid, obviously we know that now. They were always going to react. It was Liverpool who were close to that deal, so it's Liverpool who've lost out to Tchouaméni, not us. We were never in for him. I think I and you and many other people know that he would have been a good signing for United, but we never progressed it. We never went in for it. Maybe we never had a chance for it, but we were never really in for him. We could have gone for him last summer and we didn't. So, you know, you've got to put your hand up as a United fan and say that we didn't go in for him. Dorcas, welcome to the Members Club. But the most interesting development today, and I'm not sure whether many of you saw it, it came from Germany around lunchtime. I think it was at Plettigol on Twitter who reported it, that Nkunku will not be leaving Leipzig this summer. So that removes the Nkunku story to Manchester United, which I think is a major blow, because in the Darwin Núñez against Nkunku debate, I actually think Nkunku may have been more suitable for Manchester United, which actually makes me think, does an Anthony now become back on the plate for Manchester United, or is it all in on Darwin Núñez? And if we don't get Darwin Núñez and we're not getting Nkunku, are we looking at Richarlison or somebody like that? So it's really interesting to see how that's going to develop. But apparently from Germany, Nkunku is not for sale, and they're not looking to sell him this summer. So very interesting there, because that's another option removed from the table that I felt that this Ralph Rangnick relationship could probably deliver. Updates for Timber or De Jong, Mark? Much love, says Jamie. Well, I'll talk about that in a moment. But yeah, so look, I understand it. People want to know who we're looking at, and ultimately, every option. We'll go to that then. Let's look at the centre back situation. So, the centre back situation as this morning was that, I was getting information that we're not in for Torres at all, and that Timber is the priority, and it's very advanced. And somebody even said to me, it's basically done. I said this morning, I'm not moving from 80%. I've been 80% sure that we'll get Timber for the last week, from what I heard last week, and this is from overseas and the UK. So I'm confident that we're in for Timber, but I'm also not naive to the fact that things can change very, very quickly. It was very interesting what Mark Ogden said this afternoon, actually, because although I didn't agree with a lot of what he said, I always respect what people say, because I think you can learn things. And he was saying, well, it would be silly of United to let Ten Hag's first signing be someone from his old club in the Dutch league. The Dutch league isn't that good. They need to be bringing in quality players, almost pushing us towards Torres. But, I actually think if you are a member, check out the video I did comparing Torres to Timber, because I think Timber's going to be better than Torres. I think Timber suits our style of football better. He's quicker. Torres is quick, but his sprint speed, what's the word? He's quicker over 10 yards than Torres, and he's also a very good player in relation to on the ball and totally understands a Ten Hag system. So, riddle me this. If you've got a choice between Timber, who is cheaper and suits your style of play better and will adapt quicker, and Torres, who is more expensive and may not suit your style of play and you don't know him, I just think everything suggests we're going for Timber, and the Torres story is a load of crap. And I'm still going to stand by that now. Now, what I will say is a few weeks ago, I didn't believe the De Jong stories. So things sometimes... I remember a few years ago, I didn't believe we're in for Wan-Bissaka, and it did happen. So I'm not going to say that Torres is completely unlikely, but everything I've been told is that Torres isn't as advanced as people think it is. A lot of it seems to be coming from the Torres camp in relation to it's either Villarreal or Spanish reports trying to build interest. And as much as Man United have considered Torres in the past, my understanding is that Timber's the priority and is very advanced, and that Torres is a backup option that other clubs are more likely to sign. So, yeah, I think as well, let's not forget that this is a player that Villarreal will be looking to cash in on, and this is the summer that Torres definitely wants to move. Last summer, Torres had just won the Europa League, there was a Euros, and he knew he had Champions League football with Villarreal. This year, they're not Europa League winners, there is no major tournament for Spain in the summer, and he hasn't got Champions League football next year. So it's the right time for Torres to go. So you will get stories about Torres being wanted by United, when the reality is he might go to Spurs or he might go to, another club. If we get Richarlison, then it will be clear Ten Hag has not been backed already, says the Pokey. And welcome to Members Club, Joe Reader. I'd take a little risk and would try sign Mark Rocker from Bayern as a CDM, says Fred. And it seems like Timber is the right back shop option and Torres will be the centre back, says Dan. Ten Hag builds in the back three in possession. It would make sense to sign both. We're not signing both, Dan. No, I'm not having this. We're not signing both. I'm not gonna look. This is only my opinion. I might be going Mark Ogden on you. This is my opinion. You can have your opinion. And if it generates debate, then the show's done what it needs to be. But I'm not having this square pegs in round holes bullshit. Yes, Timber can play at right back, but so can fucking Lindelof. Look at what happened with Lindelof at right back. It was a bloody nightmare in Madrid. So Timber is a centre back. Ten Hag needs to sort that team out and get it playing a higher line and playing out from the back. I don't think he's going to play Timber at right back and buy Torres. I don't think we've got the funds to do that. Like, Timber and Torres are going to cost you 80 million if you get them cheap. So that's well over half our budget on two centre-backs when we need two midfielders and a forward as well. I just don't see it happening. I thought a lot of Ogden's comments were contradictory. On one hand, saying we need to sign established players who don't need to develop, then emphasising the need to trust our scouts, says Summy. And in my opinion, Torres is another Lindelof and I prefer Timber, says Desiree. Plus, remember, Torres plays in a low block system, not Ten Hag style, says Gaza. I think he can play in a high block. They played a high block in the second leg against Liverpool and he played quite comfortably. But I do think it's Timber on that in that sense. And also, that just reminds me of something as well. Yeah, we'll move into the midfield. Dillit news, I think he's signing a new contract at Juventus. Welcome to the Members Club, Grod. So, in relation to... So that's the centre-back situation. I still firmly have it that we're in for Timber and that Torres is bullshit. So let's see how that develops. Paper talk for Torres, real talk for Timber. Into the midfield, this is really interesting because I think we can talk about two things in one here. And if for anyone who's joining late, we're talking about this confusion around who United are looking at and people are starting to panic. I don't think we need to panic. I think United are purposely keeping their cards close to their chest, and also they probably haven't fully decided who they're looking for at the moment. Struggers, welcome to the Members Club. So I think that's an aspect, and therefore, United fans, we're not used to not knowing who we're going for. We will know who we're going for soon enough, but no one knows who the forward is. No one knows who the midfielder is. We've got this Torres and Timber thing going on, but apart from that, who's the right back? Who's the second midfielder? We don't know. We don't actually know, and I think that's causing people to panic a little bit when we probably don't need to yet. If we've not bought anybody by the 20th of June and we don't know who we're signing, I'd start to worry. But it is only the 24th of May, and I think United will start to make moves quickly. But going back to so two things in one here. We're talking about the CDM options. It was interesting that Mark Ogden was on about Declan Rice and saying that we asked him about the midfield options and how they're running out a little bit. Calvin Phillips is now being linked to City, doesn't want to come to United because of the Leeds thing. Also, he'd be very expensive. Tchouameni's gone. De Jong is difficult. There's more stories about De Jong talking to other clubs now, like PSG, and I think Man City have been mentioned, so that makes it very difficult for us. I still believe De Jong is the number one target for Manchester United, but it was interesting how Mark Ogden mentioned Declan Rice, because that, for me, is a story that's 6 months old. Man United and Declan Rice, I would file that lower than I'd file Milinkovic-Savic at this moment in time. I think, there's more chance of Declan Rice than Milinkovic-Savic, but I don't see how this happens. We'd have to spend close to 100 million, certainly over 80 million pounds on Declan Rice in our midfield. And I think he's a good player, but is he a Ten Hag player? Is he a Ten Hag midfielder? Declan Rice to me was a Mourinho midfielder or an Oli midfielder, in the fact that they would probably know how to get the best out of him. Is he a Ten Hag type of midfielder? And that's the very interesting thing. And I think that Declan Rice, I really like Declan Rice, by the way, and I would take him at Manchester United in a heartbeat. Would you take Tielemans or Kante, says Mason? Well, I think those two are more suitable for a Ten Hag system. But the interesting thing about Declan Rice is that, to me, would be everything United have got wrong over the last 9 years. And I know Mark Ogden mentioned it as well, that United will want to make a status signing this summer. But why? Why do we want to make a status signing? Has anybody thought this? Why do we need it? I don't think our fans need it. I keep hearing people going, well, United should go and buy more cheaper signings, but the fans won't like it. Every fan I talk to wants that sort of signing over a marquee. I don't think there's much appetite for a marquee signing from anybody in the fan base. I think the marquee appetite comes from the Glazers, like it always has done. I think the Glazers like to be able to go, oh, look at what we can still do when we're crap. Well, and look at how it ends. I don't want to spend all our budget on Declan Rice. He's a very good player, but does he fit Ten Hag's system? I don't know. Is he going to use most of the budget? Yes. Is that a good idea? No, it isn't. And that really makes it interesting for me. I also think Declan Rice is going to go to Chelsea. I think he will leave West Ham, and I think he'll go to Chelsea. But I don't think it's a deal United should be looking at, because there's a world of difference between De Jong and Declan Rice, and De Jong is cheaper, and he way better suits our system under Ten Hag. So, and also what I would say as well is, why do we always get obsessed with these marquee signings at United, who in the majority have failed? Tell me a player that we have bought, like Liverpool buy people. I mean, Liverpool and Man City have bought a whole host of players for between 30 and 50 million pounds. I think Fabinho cost them around 30 million. Man City have got countless players like that. When have United gone and bought a player that's somewhere between 25 and 45 million quid? And they've been a success and we've developed them. This is exactly what Ralph Rangnick was talking about. And yet some people ridiculed him for saying, oh yeah, we don't do that at United. Because he said, look at what I did at Leipzig. We bought young, talented players in. We brought them into Leipzig. They did really well, and then we sold them for big money. But people sort of had a go at him for that. But actually what's the problem with it? He brought a talented player in for cheap, developed them and sold them for a lot of money to big clubs. The difference with us is we bring them in cheap, we develop them, but we don't sell them. So your Kimmich or your Werner or your Nkunku, they actually don't get sold because we're already a big club. This is what United need to do. We've gone about this for a while. Why can't we recruit a Kante or an NDD or someone like that? My best guess is Ogden his boys with another team trying to stir up confusion. Okay, says Danny. And the interview did nothing more than perpetuate the stereotype the English media, if not the board or the players, the media will be this club's doom, says Asif. All the time we have the GOAT, we don't need marquee players, we need good and constant players with a desire to work, says Grant Williams. Mark, what about Palestri and Ahmed? Got no idea, the alien. I mean, I really don't know. Rebuild this season, marquee signing next season or after, says Leo J. And also, hi Mark, have you seen the Mirror saying Hannibal and Telles were involved in the training ground bust up? What's your thoughts? I don't care, VK, to be honest. I had heard it was Telles and somebody anyway when I didn't want to say it, because the only reason I didn't say it is because Samuel Luckhurst was on about legal action, that that's the reason he wasn't saying it. So I was like, well, I don't want bloody legal action. But I had heard it was Telles and somebody, so I've got no reason to think it's not those two players. Ultimately, these things happen all the time, and the reason it probably got covered up is because actually it's quite an unglamorous two players, isn't it? PSG interest is exaggerated. Santi was one of the first sources to talk about PSG interested. Now he's deleted his post. Frankie de Jong isn't a priority for them, says Dan. Well, that's good. I mean, look, on the midfield, I'll be honest, I don't really want to see a marquee signing for United anyway at any point. I don't want to see a marquee signing. I don't think we need to make a marquee signing. What we need to do is bring in what Ten Hag and Rangnick have spoken about, is these players who are absolutely obsessed and unified with working hard at Manchester United and making us a good footballing side. On the midfield, I can't give you many names. I would keep a massive eye on de Jong. I think that is blatantly our number one target, and if we pull it off, what a great signing that would be. I also think logically I don't understand why we're not moving for Lehmer. Remember last week I spoke to Christian Falk, who's a very good German source around Bayern Munich specifically. He said, look, Bayern Munich wants Lehmer. He's got 1 year left on his deal, but Lehmer dreams of playing in the Premier League, and RB Leipzig don't want to sell him to Bayern Munich. He's available for about £20 million. He's 24. When I talk about that jigsaw of Man United, where we've got a squad which is a bit Van Gaal, a bit Mourinho, a bit Solskjaer, and they just don't work together. I mean, what system suits that squad? The squad that we've got right now, with Ronaldo in it and Rashford in it and Sancho in it and McTominay and Fred and Bruno. I mean, you look at it and you go, that doesn't work. It's very hard to... I mean, look at Rangnick's job the last 6 months. What would you do with that team? There's a lot of good players in it, but what would you do? If you want to play a high line, you've got to play Varane and probably Bailly. I don't think it massively suits Lindelof, and it doesn't suit Maguire. If you want to play with a high line, you want your fullbacks to push on. I mean, Luke Shaw can do it. He's never fit. Telles can't. Wan-Bissaka can't do it. Delo, you don't know. So, and also, if I'm playing with a high line, I need two midfielders who are good on the ball, who can actually dictate the press and dominate the game. Haven't got players who can do that. Matic hasn't got the legs. McTominay and Fred can't do it. That team is a mismatch. There's a lot of good players in it, but it's completely and utterly a mismatch of different styles and signings from different managers. What United need to do is, and when Ten Hag's talking about a strategy, he's got to look at those players and go, I want to play, on this page I want to play like this. On this page I've got these players. Right, those 3 or 4 can play in my system. Those 4 or 5, I think I can develop them to play in my system, but I need to buy 4 or 5. And the rest of them are just going to have to either jog on or it's going to work. Ogden literally went against every point you have made the last 6 months. It's as if his opinion is crap and not genuine, says Stuart Walker. Well, it's a shame I couldn't be on. I'm sure next time I can. Tommy, welcome to the Members Club, by the way. Thank you very much. So look, when I look at that midfield of Manchester United, which is going to be fundamental to our future, I look at it and I go, well, de Jong fits Ten Hag straight away. De Jong is a Ten Hag player. And then I look at a Lehmer at Leipzig and I look at the way they play football and I think, well, you know what? RB Leipzig, Ajax, very different but also very similar in the way that they're an energetic side. They want to dominate possession. They want to press. So Lehmer, straight away, with 1 year left on his contract, mid-20s and, about 20 million quid, he's a signing I'm looking at straight away going, look, he can do this job better than Fred. He can do this job better than McTominay. And, all right, he might not be the best midfielder in the world, but he's certainly a player that really does fit the way I want to play. And suddenly you're buying players that suit your system and you're getting them at a very good price. So look, I'd keep an eye on Lema. I think that's a deal United could do if they want to do it. Obviously, Ten Hag might say no. Transfer windows always make me nervous with United. How confident are you about it, Mark? Says Jacob. I am confident that it's going to be a successful one. But I do understand everybody's nerves, and I think it will be an up and down roller coaster. But remember, United have got to get this right. Whether it's John Murtough, Darren Fletcher, Eric Ten Hag, the Glazers, Richard Arnold, this is a new regime, or is it? And United are under pressure to get this right, and there is a strategy in place. But I suppose one thing that's not been mentioned is, no matter how hard Eric Ten Hag wants to work, or how hard Richard Arnold or John Murtough want to work, what is the budget that the Glazers are giving up? And I think when we hit August the 31st and we see what our net spend is, if it's under 100 million quid, this club ain't serious. So look, that's something that's we will find out through the summer as well. Spurs are going to buy 6 or 7 players. Liverpool might get 2 or 3. Arsenal looking out for 4 or 5. Ditto Chelsea. Where are we going to get 7 or 8 players from? Agonising rebuilding ahead, says Prince. Well, this is why we need to be active. And also, you know what? I would have no confidence in this summer transfer window if it was Matt Judge negotiating with Ed Woodward as the CEO. This is where we need to see the change. So I understand the nervousness, but we do need to see the change. Rangnick could have trusted Bailly, Donny, Martial, Lingard, Mata more. Then maybe we would have gotten close to top 4, but not a guarantee, says Michael. There's a lot of players who need to earn the fans' trust back. They've downed tools, leaked information to the press and jogged around the pitch, says Nate. And Rosie, welcome to the members club. Yeah, let me just go through some other bits as well. I mean, look, let me just finish up. We've spoken about the defence. We've spoken about the midfield. It's very difficult to know who the targets are. I still believe it's De Jong and Timber. In the attack, I don't know. I mean, look, I suppose the most logical one is Darwin Núñez, but there's a lot of competition for Darwin Núñez. You've just named clubs there, and I don't see why Arsenal wouldn't go for him. I don't see why Atletico Madrid won't go for him. I mean, you know, maybe a Real Madrid or PSG will go for him. Maybe an Italian club will go for him. Maybe another English club will go for him. So Darwin Núñez is quiet around him at the moment. Can you please go through a piece I've written on Eric Ten Hag, which reminds us of Jose's first incoming at Chelsea? Would love your thoughts. Twitter at @AkshayPopat_32. Okay, let me just write that down. Okay, I will have a look at that after the show, Akshay. Thank you very much. Would have been interesting to see who he felt was unfairly singled out by Rangnick, says Desmond. And who do you think we should sign first, says VK. And welcome to the Members Club, Marad. I think in relation to who we should sign first, I don't really mind. I don't think it's a statement of they're the priority signing. I think it's just about getting the job done as quick as you can. And therefore, I don't really mind about who we sign first. But I do think that, you know, then there needs to be some movement, and there needs to be some movement soon. It is a very, very, very competitive transfer window. It's the first transfer window without COVID, and I think even at the start of last season, it's as frequency as recently as Christmas, there was talk of another lockdown in the UK. So let's not forget, this is the first summer where really it feels COVID free and clubs can start being football clubs again without the concern of playing in empty stadiums for the moment. So I do think that it's going to be a very big summer, and I do think that if Conte's staying at Spurs, they're going to spend money. Of course they are, and there's a lot of clubs. Newcastle's another club. There's a lot of clubs with money who are looking for players in the same position as us. And I mean, this for me is the importance of Ralf Rangnick. There's a lot going on at the moment, and I very nearly thought about doing a show about it, and then I thought, well, actually, a lot of it is just paper talk and rumour at the moment. But there's a lot being made about Ten Hag and Rangnick and the fact that they've not met face to face, and that it's been done by a Zoom call. And actually, Ten Hag was in the UK last week, and Rangnick was in the UK until Sunday night. So surely they could have crossed over and had a proper face to face. And is that because Ten Hag doesn't want to do it? Because we know that Rangnick wanted to do it. Is Ten Hag purposely avoiding having a conversation with Rangnick? Does this mean the end of Rangnick? But I think it would be massively stupid on Ten Hag's part to just jettison Ralf Rangnick without utilising what he's good at, which is he will have so many ideas about players that we can bring into this club that other clubs aren't looking at. I mean, you know, case in point, Enzo Fernandez at River Plate. I know Man City and Real Madrid and Benfica are looking at him. I guarantee you Arsenal probably aren't looking at him. We might be looking at him, and we might be looking at him because of Ralph Rangnick. I mean, look, Arsenal might sign him now. But what I'm saying is, I trust Ralph Rangnick's connections in transfers because he's been bloody brilliant at it at Salzburg and Leipzig and other clubs, and you know, all around the world as well. South American signings, European signings, and I think we're going to have to get creative in this transfer window. There's a player at Salzburg called Camaro who loads of people talk to me about all the time. I don't for 1 minute think United are going to sign him, but if we did, it would stink of a Ralph Rangnick signing. I'm a bit behind. Buy a marquee signing so they leave for free after a year. Pogba, Di Maria, anyone, says Ray. Ogden also stated that manager won't have the important and final say if scouts overrule the manager's choice, so why should Erik Ten Hag bother, says Asher. I'll come back to that. Welcome to Members Club YJ Stallone. Ronald, thank you very much for becoming a member. Just saw the Ogden interview and I believe Mark versus Ogden could have been a blockbuster. I so wish I'd done it, Eritro, because I couldn't do it. Got booked in today for 1 o'clock, and obviously Beth does Romano sometimes for me. So I was like, I had a pre-arrangement, and I was like, well, yeah, we can do it at 1 o'clock. We'll just get Beth to do it. And then everyone was like, oh, it would have been really interesting because he had so many different opinions to you. And I was like, okay, well, look, we'll try and arrange it again. Ogden said we're a big club and shouldn't sign players from Holland, Portugal. Then said with no Champions League, we won't get top players. So who do we sign then, says Nursey. And I think that if we sort the midfield and bring in Timber, we could get fourth next season. We've lost so many games in the middle, says Cameron. Look, I think, look, you know, no show should be a dictatorship, and I've been doing this show for many years now, and I don't say it as much anymore, but this channel is for the fans, real opinion for the fans, and that's what we do, real opinion. I love it when people disagree with me because I know they're sat at home, you know, I disagree with that, and that's the whole point. You meant to generate opinion, and what I enjoyed about the Mark Ogden interview with Beth was that I disagreed with a lot what he said, but he said it with sincerity and he meant it. And, you know, he was saying that Rangnick should go. He shouldn't be here anymore. You know, he wasn't a very good coach. And what's an Austrian manager being a consultant on transfers for? I would say because that was the whole reason I wanted him at the club in the first place. The interim bit didn't really bother me. I wanted him to come to the club because I know he's brilliant at building clubs, and we need that. And United, unfortunately, over the last 9 years, our recruitment has been abysmal, and it's put us in this position where we are a jigsaw puzzle with lots of different pieces, and it doesn't fit together. We need to rebuild this club in the strategy of Erik Ten Hag. We need to buy players that fit the Ten Hag system. There's no point in buying Declan Rice or Erling Haaland or, you know, Torres if they don't fit the way that Ten Hag wants to play. I would rather buy Timber, who's cheaper than Torres. I would rather buy Lema, who's cheaper than Rice. And I would rather buy Nkunku, who's cheaper than Haaland, because they fit the system that Ten Hag wants to play. That is what we need to do with our recruitment. And that is why I believe Ralph Rangnick's really important. If him and Eric can build a relationship, I think Ralph Rangnick knows how to help a club build, and Erik Ten Hag is a coach. That should work really well together with Murta. Now, Ten Hag and Rangnick don't need to be in dialogue. They don't. Murta and Rangnick need to be in dialogue because it's director of football, consultant. And Mark Ogden made a very good point as well that people don't like. What he actually said is that no manager has the final say on transfers, even Jurgen Klopp. But they do get listened to in the sense that they can't have the final say because a club has to have a structure. And I agree with that. But it would never be a situation where Erik Ten Hag says, I want De Jong, and United say, no, we're getting Declan Rice because he'll sell more shirts. I don't want him. He doesn't fit my system. No, we're getting Declan Rice. I don't think that would ever happen because I don't think Murta would act like that, and I don't think Rangnick would act like that. So the importance of Rangnick and Murta, they can overrule Ten Hag, but Ten Hag has to be able to overrule them as well. There has to be disagreement in a structure, otherwise you get a dictator, and we don't want a dictator. But what we have had at United is we have had that situation where Jose Mourinho said, I want Perisic, and United have gone, well, we've offered 40, they want 45, we'll get him. No, we're not going to do it. And then he doesn't get Perisic. And then he says, I want to sell Martial, he's not right for my team. No, you're not selling Martial. That can't happen. because that's not footballing reasons. That's people like Ed Woodward and the Glazers getting involved in footballing decisions. So, you know, I don't have a problem with dialogue around transfers, but I really hope that we can rescue this Rangnick relationship. YJ says, Ogden saying United need to shop in the big markets, then saying we need to do smarter recruitment like Chelsea and Liverpool. My best guess is Ogden is boys. I've done that one. Welcome to the Members Club, Ronald. I've done that one. Okay. So, look, one story I did want to bring you that I haven't spoken about incomings, but VK says, I'm worried about the players and how they will treat Ten Hag, and hopefully they back him and they don't throw him under the bus. Well, that's something that Eric's got to speak to Ralph Rangnick about. You know, I think it's very clear that the players didn't get on with Rangnick's style of play, and I think it's very clear that the players know that they're under trial and they will work hard under Eric Ten Hag. Very interesting coming out from James Ducker today, actually, that that Marcus Rashford really wants to stay at Manchester United and rebuild his career under Eric Ten Hag. Of course he bloody does. He never wanted to go in the first place. What's happened with Rashford is that he doesn't want to leave Man United. He knows his bread's buttered well at Man United. Everything he does off the pitch is enhanced by being a Manchester United player. And I don't mean that cynically, but if Marcus Rashford played for Everton, he wouldn't be able to do everything he does off the pitch as well, because, I mean, Harry Maguire's got more social media followers than Virgil van Dijk, hasn't he? Maybe not Van Dijk, but there will be better players than him, and he's got more following because he plays for Man United. Marcus Rashford is a footballer, but he's also a brand, and his brand is best served at Manchester United. Would David Beckham have left Manchester United to go and play for, I don't know, Lazio? No, he wouldn't, because it might be good for his football career, but it's not good for him and his brand and what he's building off the pitch. Marcus Rashford is also from Manchester. He's a Manchester lad. He's never wanted to leave Man United. He's never wanted to leave Manchester United. What he's done over the last few months is try every way to get himself back in that team by, you know, not being happy. I'm not going to sign a contract, this, that and the other. And ultimately, it's all been a cry for help. He doesn't want to leave Manchester United. He wants to stay here, but he's been, in fairness to Rashford, he's been treated completely differently by two managers in one season. Ollie would pick Rashford if he had a broken leg. Rangnick wouldn't pick him because he didn't think he was good enough. Now, that's a very different way to be managed. And, I mean, I don't think the way Rashford and other players have reacted this season is good. And there's loads of players that have reacted badly. But, you know, if you've got a manager that's basically going to pick you no matter what, and then you've got a manager that, when you've got an injury crisis up front, is benching you, it's a very different thing, isn't it? And I think there's a panic around Rashford. You know, he's done loads of good things on and off the pitch, and now his career's in jeopardy, and it's like he doesn't want to leave. So I'm not surprised he's going to work hard under Eric Ten Hag, because his career's on the line. And I wouldn't be surprised, as I've always said, if we get a different Marcus Rashford under Eric Ten Hag, because he's got a point to prove. I just wish he'd had that point to prove 2 months ago, and he hadn't waited till the end of the season to prove it, because I think he can prove the point. I think he can be a better player. I just wish he'd put that in 2 months ago, like I wish a lot of other players had. But I think so many players checked out and thought, what's the point? The manager's an interim. I'll wait till the summer. And a lot of players do that. Desmond, welcome. Oh, no, Desmond's not a new member. He's just gifted 5 memberships. Thank you, Desmond. You're a legend. So, yeah, Paul Mitchell's not joining Manchester United. That was confirmed by Fabrizio Romano today. So that won't be happening. And Tchouameni's gone to Real Madrid. Apparently, we've put in a bid in from Linkovic-Savic, but which we haven't. And I do think it's really important as well, just before we move into some of your questions. Please do smash a like on the video, by the way. Really appreciate that. And also, we're really close to 346,000 subscribers, so please click the button in the bottom right-hand corner and subscribe to the channel. It's going to be a very busy summer. We're live every morning at 10 o'clock, every night at 8 o'clock, every afternoon at 2 o'clock. Loads of content for you, reacting to all the latest news. And the great thing is this summer is that I've always had bits of information, but we've got probably the best collection of information sources we've ever had on the United Stand. And I think that you're going to really see that, because we're getting stuff about stories that are hitting the press and it's like, that's not true, that's true. And it was obviously exampled very, very well last Friday night when I was told that Ronaldo wasn't going to start and no one knew it. And I said it on Saturday morning and still no one knew it. So, you know, we're getting good information. I think that's always useful, because I like you, am very, very dubious about information, because I think people can easily make that information up and you get exposed for that. But yes, I think the latest is that, as I say, Timber's advanced, Torres is paper talk, and we're going to have to be very careful about that. Tobias, welcome to the members club. We're going to have to be very, very careful about that. And look, all I can tell you is my mindset. My mindset is I have a selection of players and I percentage how likely I think they are. At the moment, I think out of 100% being absolutely certain, I'm 80% sure we'll get Timber. I'm 75% sure we'll get De Jong. And anybody else, I really couldn't tell you. Nunez, I'd say 50, because it seems like he's the most logical option with Nkunku off the table, as it seems. But what I also want to say is, and something that's really important, is that whenever a transfer story comes out, remember, we live in a world where a tweet or an article about a signing drives eyes. And the people who tweet it and write it know that. And when I see a story coming out, I don't just go, oh, that's going to happen. I think, right, what do you think about that? What do you think about that? Because I think that's the next, I want the next story. I don't want the tweet or the article that goes and everyone goes, wow. I want to know why that's come out. I want to know if there's any truth in that. And I think that's the most important thing as a community, is that we question it, because I guarantee you that this summer, we've heard these stories before, we will be linked to anywhere between 50 and 200 players this summer. And look, you won't remember all the names. There'll be outlets that you never read saying that we're going to buy Neymar, but we will be linked to somewhere between 50 and 200 players this summer. And out of those 50 to 200 players, probably 99% of them will be not true, because agents and clubs are trying to sell players. And if I am a football club like an Italian mid-table club or a Portuguese club or an agent of a Spanish player, what do I want? It's like selling a car. I want the best price and I want as many people bidding for it as possible. How do I do that? Well, I don't do that by sitting there waiting for the phone to ring. I do that by putting things out there that United are very interested in this player. They're thinking about putting a bid in. And United probably go, but United will not deny stories. United don't do that. Their policy has always been, you don't deny things, because you never know down the line if things change, but also you'd be forever denying stuff. So United let it lie. So the reality is, every club and every agent has got a free rein to link their player to Manchester United without any recourse, because the club won't come out and call it out for bullshit. So as fans, we have to have our eyes wide open to that, because we will be linked to players that we're not even looking at. And as I said, I would file Milinkovic-Savic under that. I don't think we're advanced for Torres at all. And I think that there's going to be plenty of players over the summer that we're not looking at, that people will go, United are interested. And we seem to have forgotten this. We seem to have forgotten this, don't we? I remember a time, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, where you'd be on Twitter or we'd be doing a video and we'd talk about a transfer story and we'd go, it's clearly bullshit. Nobody seems to call bullshit anymore, because every little story is, oh yeah, it's happening, yeah, it's happening, yeah, it's happening. And I think you do need to analyse it and look at it and go, is that logical? Is it logical that Man United want to spend 70 million on Milinkovic-Savic, who's what, 27, 28, playing in the Italian league? He's never played in the Premier League before. Does he fit a Ten Hag style of system? Does he bollocks? So yeah, it's not logical, but we can all do a video going, or an article going, United have bid for Milinkovic-Savic. Convince me we have. Why have we? What's the logic behind it? Why does he suit us? Why would we pay that price? Or is it that Lazio or Milinkovic-Savic's agent are looking to sell him and they need to generate interest? We'll probably go and bloody sign him now. Mark, my older brother, thinks Rashford is at best a second-rate Ian Rush. Ian Rush was pretty good, Andrews? He was pretty good. Okay, we've had another. Somebody just told me we've had a bit of an update here. I'm just going to have a quick look on Twitter. See if we can find it. What we're looking at here then? Somebody said we've had an update. Let me have a quick look. Is it something to do with Leeds? I'm trying to understand what's gone on here. So it's something to do with a bit of an argument on Twitter between Schrager and Savic. Okay, let's have a look at this. I'll get it for you. This is live on the United Stand. I can't find the tweet. Why has an aggregator not tweeted this out? Okay, I'm told that Lazio have not received an offer from Manchester United from Milinkovic-Savic and that Lazio would be prepared to sell for a price in the region of 60 million. Yeah, well, he's right. He's right. So if there's a bit of beef going on there, then he's right. I mean, I don't even feel that that's worthy to talk about. I mean, we didn't really talk about it in the show tonight because it is bullshit. We're not after Milinkovic-Savic. You know, people can push it as much as they like, but we're not after Milinkovic-Savic. And unless Lazio say you can have him for 40 million, United might go, it might be worth a look. But you know what? Football's changed a lot. When I was younger, I used to try and talk to people about transfers and stuff, and it was almost like it was a niche. You were like, what? Not interested. These days, everyone wants to talk about transfers. He doesn't suit the way Erik ten Hag wants to play football, for a start, in my mind. So I just don't see anything in it at all. Obviously, you're going to get fans who want it to happen because they like the player, but I don't see it. Stephen says Ogden seemed to blame player attitudes on them realising the past managers either lack quality or were past their prime, says Stephen. Well, look, you know what? There's no excuse for a United player to down tools just because they don't like the manager. I go to work, I've been to work, you've been to work, and it makes no difference, does it? It makes no difference whether you like the manager or not. You still have to be, you still have to work. You know, and United players have let themselves down this season. So yeah, you can't not work. Yeah. Slow Sports News. Manchester United have not put an offer in from Milinkovic-Savic. I could have told you that from my arse could have told you that. It could have farted it out. It's just absolutely waste. I don't want to waste my time on this sort of story throughout the summer. I don't know about you. I don't want to waste my time on bullshit stories because we will waste a lot of time on it, and I just don't want to. I think there's so many good stories to keep your eye on and focus on, like De Jong and Timber. I mean, logically as well. I think you as a community are too good for this. I mean, some of you might be watching for the first time. Please subscribe. Bottom right hand corner. We're really close to 346,000, but a lot of you have been watching us for years. We love the summer transfer window. And I remember about 7 years ago, most fan channels used to stop for the summer. They'd be like, don't like the transfer window. And we were like, we bloody loved it. And we've always loved it. And I don't want to waste my time on bullshit stories because when you become learned in football transfers, you realise that, you know, if somebody said tomorrow United have put a bid in for Neymar, some of our fans would get excited. You know what I'd do? I'd go, we're live. We've not put a bid in for Neymar because he wouldn't come to United. It doesn't suit us, and we haven't got 200 million to do it. And if we have put it in it wouldn't be logical. It's not logical that we're looking to put a bid in for Milinkovic-Savic when we're trying to get De Jong. De Jong and Milinkovic-Savic wouldn't work in my opinion. I think De Jong is difficult considering other clubs are interested, says the Gill. Look, yeah. I would never say never on a transfer. Never say never. But as of right now, we need to bring back James Wilson, says Ryan. But yeah, no, you're not going to get that with me. And sometimes I end up with egg on my face. But I will call out when I think it's bullshit. And I think it's total bullshit. I've not heard from... And nobody's messaged me and gone, Milinkovic-Savic, we're in for him. And unless Erik ten Hag has got some weird obsession for Milinkovic-Savic, which he may well do. I mean, look, that's why you should never say never. Because we don't know enough about Ten Hag to know what's in his little black book. We don't know what players he likes, you know. But he wants De Jong. And until that De Jong story's killed, I don't think you can start talking about Declan Rice or Ruben Neves or anyone like that. Savic will be linked to us until he retires, says Braden. Yeah. Anyway, look, thanks everyone for watching. I've really enjoyed the show. I'm loving the shows we're doing at the moment. So look, we're going to be here all summer. Make sure you subscribe, bottom right hand corner, and subscribe. We're very close to 346,000. And yeah, we'll just keep the conversation open. I love it. I mean, I just think, you know, every night at 8 o'clock, morning, 10 o'clock, 2 o'clock, it's just an open conversation, really. And I love that. And we've always done that. And we'll talk it through. And some people will think Milinkovic-Savic is going to happen. And some people will agree with me that it's bullshit. But, you know, as long as we're having fun and enjoying it, it can't do any harm, can it? I'd love Tonali, Alex. I would love Tonali. But look, for me, until it's dead, I would say keep an eye on Lema. I just think it's so logical that United go for a player like that. He perfectly fits the way that Ten Hag wants to play. He wants to play in the Premier League. Leipzig don't want to sell him to Bayern, and he's available for about 20 million. It's a brilliant little signing to do. You know, he's an Austrian international as well. Maybe Rangnick could help us with that. But you never know with Erik ten Hag. He might just go, I don't want players that Rangnick's recommended out of pure stubbornness. I don't know. Thanks everyone. Cracking show. Big shout out to the moderators as well. Big shout out to the community. You're all legends. We've got a new video coming up for you at 7 o'clock. We've started doing them at the moment. Little bite-sized topics. And yeah, I actually did a really good video. I don't know whether... I should have put the link in the chat. If you go onto my Twitter feed, at Mark Goldbridge, it's my tweet before last. It's my 5-point plan. I did it on TalkSport, and I wish I'd bloody done it on here. It's so good. I forgot I did it. I recorded it about 3 weeks ago, and they've put it up on their YouTube channel. It's really good. Like, I don't actually think I'm that good when I watch myself back, you know. Don't like watching myself back. But I watched that, and it's got music, and it's only very short, and it's really good. So check it out on the TalkSport channel, Goldbridge's 5-point plan to solving United. I was quite impressed. It was like watching somebody else. It really was. Anyway, we'll be back in the morning. Make sure you smash a like on the video and subscribe, and take care, everyone. Let's see what tomorrow brings, or maybe later on tonight.